Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Murdered Soul Suspect. Last time we entered the museum. We didn't actually have a look around and start this area yet, so I haven't moved an inch since the last time I left you guys off in the last video, so let's go on ahead and start our investigation and collecting in this area.
Gather round and bear witness to the righteous proceedings of a trial of a most heinous nature. Now you, good woman Putnam, you stand accused of the murder of 7 of your own children, whom you claim were taken by forces of the
This
devil.
freak show better give me some answers.
I did not do it. My devil spawn of a child is my own accuser.
Okay, so we have 7 clues in this main room here, but we also have a lot of collectibles. I think this area has about 30, which is more than the other areas we've been to so far. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all of the collectibles in a counterclockwise motion. So from where we started here, through these lobby doors, I'm going to take a right. And I'm going to go into this room with all of these demon pools. And you have to be kind of careful in here because there are so many demon pools, and the only way to get around them safely is to travel through the exhibits. So I'm going to go into this janitor's closet here, and there's a few collectibles for us to grab. There's a note on the floor. There is a plaque over here in the corner, and then we have this item, which is our level specific story, which is just a rock, which seems kind of like they were getting desperate for ideas. Now you'll notice that you can hide in these ghost bodies, but you have absolutely no way to teleport around these demon pits. You may or may not have already tried this, but you actually cannot use teleporting to go across it. So you're gonna have to just walk across to this rock in the corner. It's a little bit annoying just because there are collectibles in every area of this room, but you have to kind of watch your step and go really, really slowly and carefully. There's one more collectible in this room, and it's just up in the other corner of this room, and it's another rock. I'd say this is probably the most slow-going and dangerous room, so once you have that cleared, you're golden. Continuing on here, on the outside, this is the door that we're going to go through once we actually gather all 7 of our clues, so we're going to skip that for now. Keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. We have an open door right here to the 2nd floor stairs, but this entire area is actually blocked off by blue walls. So we'll just grab the collectible here, which is a witch trial history plaque, and there are 9 of those. And then there is a wall that I can phase through in order to get some collectibles as well, and I do believe it is just outside of the lobby area. We can phase through this wall right next to the lobby doors on the left for anybody who may have missed that, and we can collect this item, which is another witch trial piece. Phase through the wall again, and then phase through another wall. And we're gonna go to an entirely new area here. There is a plaque near where you come out, next to these 2, I guess, pilgrim costumes, maybe? And then in this room here, with the giant train, there's a couple of collectibles. If you just walk around the train, you should be able to get them all. There's a plaque there. And then in the back of the room, there is another plaque. And then if you go around the back of the train and over across the other side, we have yet another rock. This area is definitely a little bit more confusing than some of the other areas we've been to so far, as evident by the fact that I have to phase through walls like crazy. And then the only other collectible I do believe that I have missed are a couple behind the ticket booth here. So we had come in through that door straight ahead of me, but these blue walls block getting in here unless we come from the back. So once we're in here, we can just get behind the receptionist here and grab another note. Now that should do it for everything on the first floor so far. So let's go ahead and actually do our investigation. All of the clues are going to come from all of the different exhibits. So let's just start with the witch on trial here.
Yeah, I mean, if it's here,
They're doing a reenactment. There is a clue over here
I can't imagine what it would be like
of some
to have my
court
own child.
records. And then directly behind us, we can examine
Yeah.
this item here.
I know it's
The
not
pillory.
so just about anything can get you.
Beside that, we have this here, and we're actually going to focus in on the sound that it's making. And the sound is coming from the trapdoor.
The time is upon us, Abigail Williams.
No.
You scourge of Salem. It is time to pay for your sin.
So we get a little bit of a clue there with the gallows, and some of you may or may not recognize the person that was in that cutscene. If you don't recognize her, I'm not going to spoil it for you. We'll elaborate on that a little bit later. Directly in front of the gallows, we have a display of some rocks here, which we can focus on. And again, we have to pick out the sound, and it's coming from the stain on the rock.
Confess, witch. Confess. Or covenant. A demonic contract with the dark forces.
I don't know how anyone's gonna confess to being a witch when you are literally squeezing the life out of them. And then our last couple of clues are gonna come from the back of the museum. So we have this item here, which looks very familiar to something that we had just seen. We had seen this in the graveyard when we were talking with the ghost of Sophia. It was a very, very similar device used on her to drown her. And then we also have the classic witch treatment of burning them at the stake, which just sounds so incredibly lovely. And if we remember back when we were in the asylum, we had seen Rose and Iris in a flashback being pursued, and then Rose being killed by the bell killer by being burned at the stake. So Rose burned to death and torture. Looking at these really makes me think about how horrible humanity really is, to be able to just be able to do such horrible, horrible things to people that may or may not have even been a witch. And then the clue that I missed, which is right behind the pillory here, is actually this photograph. So this is the Salem Witch Trial Judgment House, owned by Judge Haythorne, one of the most influential judges during the witch trials. This historic mansion also served as courtroom for many of the trials and sentencing hearings during the hysteria that blanketed Salem in 1692. So there we go, we got all 7 of our clues. We looked at all of the exhibits, all related to ways that witches were executed a long time ago, and that helps us with our
The
investigation.
Bell killer used torture devices like this to kill his victims. Why kill them like witches?
I'm surprised there's no exhibit for the accusers. It's such an important part of Salem's history.
Actually, several artifacts aren't on display yet. We're currently preparing them upstairs in the restoration room.
Better see what else is in here.
So there we go. This is the door that we had passed by earlier that I said would open once we concluded our investigation. So once again, if you feel like you're missing any sort of collectibles at this point, you can go through and grab them all before you go upstairs. Now this is the second kind of obstacle in this level. This train can kill you, so be very careful when you're moving through to the back side of this level. We do have to actually go in the direction that the train is coming from in order to move on. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to head to the right and I'm going to go into this bathroom, and on the floor here is a rock. So I'm going to grab that, and once I've done that, I'm going to be prepared to run. As soon as this train runs by, I'm going to run directly to my left, and then from here, once you're in this safe spot, you're going to need to use your teleport power. So when the train runs by, I'm going to teleport over to the opposite side. Once I line myself up properly, which is not working for some reason. There we go. Don't forget to collect the rock that's laying here. And then what you can do is you can teleport over to the other side. We can grab this collectible here, which is another plaque. Going through the door and heading towards the dead end will get us yet another rock. I had no idea that Ronan was a geologist. And that's all the collectibles here. And once you cross over above where the train is coming from out of the wall, you're safe. And we can kind of continue the rest of the second floor in peace. We're not going to have any sort of obstacles in our way for a little while. This room later does become crawling with demons, but we don't have to worry about that right now. In the back corner of this room is yet another rock, and if we go straight ahead from where we picked that up, there's a couple more collectibles up in the corner here. Another rock. Another rock. Man, they're just leaving these things out here. And I think that was it, wasn't it? I don't see any other glowies around here. Once you've collected those 3 rocks, we can head on through this floor that says to the 3rd floor stairs.
Joy? I told you to look after Iris.
You're not the boss of me.
I found a bunch of stuff downstairs. The Bell killer is offing his victims as if they're witches. I'm heading upstairs to see what else I can find. I should have told you to follow me, then maybe you would have stayed at the church.
Well, it actually might be helpful to have her with us, to be honest, because we might run into a few things in our upcoming investigation that she will need to interact with for us. So before we follow Joy to the restoration room, turn around, and in this corner there is another rock.
Just keep an eye out for security cameras and alarms.
Thanks for the tip, but this isn't even my first break-in today.
Yeah, This looks like the right place. Now let's see what these artifacts can tell me about the witch trials.
So here is the second investigation of the level. 14 different clues that we can pick up. Most of them are garbage and are not going to help us at all. But still worth noting that there's a lot to look at in this room. It's crawling with lots of different things for us to interact with. But I'm actually just going to stand right here, which is where we had come into the level, triggering the cutscene, and we will go back into that room, do the investigation, and get the rest of the collectibles in the next video, since we do have a couple more things to do before we can wrap the museum level up. So thank you all so very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope that I will see you next time.